definitely. And of course, guys, we should also focus on this very first best of 3 that we've got going in the second group phase. And that is, of course, MVP Black against Team Naventic. Korea versus NA against NA's only remaining hope, we have to add here. Jay, how scareful or how fearful should Naventic be of the Titan that is MVP Black, who is slowly but surely regaining strength?
It's been the talk of the morning between the group of us back behind stage. Now, we talked about it a few days ago. Naventic studies MVP Black more than they study any team. Not necessarily study to beat them, but study to emulate them. And that's kind of the biggest thing in that they're going to do that. But MVP Black, of course, is the reigning champion, Dread.
I mean, it comes down to the master and the apprentice, I feel like. Even though you do study them, it's like, are you really going to be able to figure out everything that they're looking to make happen in this series, even if it was like, just even the meta that they've developed since Super League and Gold League. And Naventic better be on top of their game.
My faith isn't shaken in MVP Black at all. Despite them actually losing out in that final in Korea, I still believe that they will come in hungry and thirsty for this title, this victory, and I think that they're probably going to take it. I don't see a way that, as much as everyone's like, Tempest, they're the new gods or whatever, one win doesn't make you the new gods. I'm sorry. Even if it's the final, even if you do become a champion, doesn't make you the new gods just yet.
I think, in my opinion, the best way to word that is that a good team can win a tournament, but to win as long as MVP Black has against the best teams all over the world, that is a truly great team.
How many teams do you ever see dominate forever, though, Dread? Forever. Nobody.
None.
Nobody. I'm just saying.
You have a good point.
We have seen gods bleed when the fact that they went down in that series, and the fact that that could possibly be what turns the tides is going to be Naventic right here, and the fact that they are looking. Remember, they had a performance just a few months ago in the Spring Championship, and the fact that they're here, I mean, they have the experience now.
And let's also not forget that Naventic does have individual class on nearly all of their roles. I mean, Fan considered to be one of the strongest player NA has ever seen, and Zuna, Kenma, the brothers, they can always make those decisive calls and plays to throw their opponents off guard.
I'd go further than that. I would say Fan, best player in NA by far. And I mean, you could even, we've heard it from Naventic before, you know, they rely on him as someone who is the playmaker when it comes to these kinds of tournaments, and there is McIntyre as well. The thing is, though, is that when it came to the last regional in Burbank, they were shaken in their coordination.
Yes.
I think that's fair to say, right, Dred?
Yeah, no, emotions definitely took play at the red, white, and blue fan. There's like, check it out. Yeah, look at it. Yeah.
Look at these new jerseys, though, by the way. They're showing All-American.
I enjoy it. But again, to your point, Claire, is that they are very affected by their own emotions in a lot of ways. And going up against MVP Black, I don't feel like they're necessarily overly confident, so it may not affect them as much here. But if they do lose this first series, their success in the rest of the day, they need to make sure their mentality is very strong. Yeah. I would agree when you compare it to the images that we saw of them before they fought in spring. Zuna was very sick as well at the event, if anybody got to speak to him. They do look different, but is it going to be enough, right? This is not just a minor, like, oh, you just got to step it up. It's like you have to leap at this point to catch up to where MVP is.
Definitely, and we've seen Team Naventic not being the most stable teams when it comes to recovering from losses, so maybe they're not going to go as harsh on themselves when placing or facing the reigning world champion. For now, though, guys, we actually have the map vetoes ready, so let's actually take a look at what the first battleground is going to be between those two teams. It is indeed Tomb of the Spider Queen, as we can see here. A very interesting map, a very intense one, because rotations are of the essence.
Yeah, and it was actually selected by Naventic here. So one of their preferred maps here. I'm surprised to see that coming out from them. Tomb of the Spider Queen is something that is actually commonly played in NA, I feel like, more than almost any other region for the time being. It used to be common internationally, and now a little bit heavier weighted towards North America. So hopefully they have a strat in their back pocket here that they're going to be able to pull out.
Would you say in terms of playstyles that one team is slightly favored on this battleground in particular? Would you say it's dead even?
I'd say regardless of map, MVP Black's favored.
Right.
I will go that far, and I think probably everybody will agree here. It's like the thing is that they looked good in the first group stage on this map. They always look good on this map anyway, and even the priorities are a little bit different on this map, which I imagine we'll get to during the draft.
I think the one thing for me when it comes to playstyles on this map specifically is even if Naventic has a very well thought out strategy going into the laning phase, which is very powerful on this map, MVP always makes it to winning the late game. That's what they're great at, and this map is it's very hard to not make it to the late game here. So we do move into the draft here. No surprise when it comes to the pick bans. MVP Black has been holding on to that Kael'thas very heavily, and something me and Claris were talking about. If Naventic goes with the Muradin here very highly, MVP Black actually preferred the ETC on their first time on this map. So now not even really getting a deny from MVP Black.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Naventic have actually really looked into that, because it's the only map that they did that. It's the only map that they preferred ETC on, because the rotations are strong. Kael'thas ETC, I mean, we saw it from a few teams actually in that previous group stage. So easy to get picks. Very, very easy to press the right buttons and kill off someone very quick.
And so easy to get those deadly AoE wombo combos during the later stages of the game. So it's a solid overall comp, a solid comp duo that MVP Black could be aiming for here. Naventic now, on the other hand, they picked Muradin first, which is something that MVP Black did in the previous days, Dread.
Yeah, Zul hasn't been picked up here by either of the teams, so I'm thinking it's going to make it all the way through, possibly until the second ban phase. The gray main pickup for Naventic here. There it is. There's the Zul, and then ETC. Yeah. So MVP Black now has an absurdly strong composition. They have ganking, they have wave clear, they've got a strong solo. It's just, they've got a lot going for them.
I hate to call out Naventic in this way, but I'm about to. The thing is that Naventic normally, when they pick Muradin, they don't pick him early. They actually prioritize other things over their tank role, which makes me think that they were worried that MVP Black was going to take Muradin.
Yes, they were.
But I don't think they were ever going to take Muradin. Yeah. So, which is very, very interesting.
They've made the adjustment because Naventic, like you said, they haven't shown that draft pattern in the past. So they are trying to adapt to what we've seen recently out of the Asian teams. But I do agree with you. Maybe at the same time, it could be a synergy that they find very appealing, maybe with the Grey Main, or they have a strategy going on for the rest.
That's the first Red Guard ban in the tournament. Across the past groups as well,
Absolutely.
because it was not banned in the whole tournament apart from now, and not even picked in first rotation. That's the first one.
I think this is the part where I was talking about, where we see Naventic traditionally try and draft or draft like MVP Black, and we saw a prioritization towards supports. Now, Team Naventic is known to run Karazim on this map, as well as Sylvanas, and the fact that both of those supports have been banned out, this is huge right now. This is a huge power play.
That has to be Karazim.
They have to. Yeah, Naventic, I think, is going to be taking Karazim almost 100%.
Dread, what do you think? Whose support player will suffer more from this scenario? Because we've seen Meride being a very flexible player when it comes to picking new supports.
I feel like if Naventic doesn't, whoever gets the Karazim, I think directly, okay, they go with the Tyrande. I don't think there's going to be a solo here. It could be a very aggressive approach, and Naventic go with this. But overall, Karazim's the last that's left to be considered very strong. Obviously, we've seen MVP Black pull out the Medic, but they also ran it with a Tyrael, so they have like they had Gust and they had Sanctification to keep the Medic alive, which is not the case for MVP in this one.
This is already very I mean, like, in Naventic in general, they've always had Red Guard number 1, Uther number 2, Karazim number 3, if they haven't been able to get either of those two. So for Tyrande to come along in this draft?
There's one major point that I want to kind of go over when it comes to Naventic's draft here, is that they have very little wave clear. We see Zul and we have Kael'thas, who are some of the best wave clear in the entire matchup. And Tyrande is one of the playstyles that absolutely needs to have vision control.
Whoa, what? The couple?
I think
Twilight Dream? Is it the dream? I would be so happy. I don't think so, but...
but either way, they struggle in the wave clear department. Moonburn is going to help a little bit when it comes to that. And look at this, MVP Black is actually still going to opt into going with Morales.
There
not
we go,
play.
boys.
This is
already hype.
This is hype. Yeah.
And as you were mentioning, Dread, I mean, you said that Naventic is weak on wave clear or AoE damage in general, so Morales shouldn't really have that much trouble at keeping people alive here.
Especially when our team has the great rotations that they do.
Do we not see Li Ming here? Is that like...
I almost feel like
looking at this draft, I have no clue now, but...
I almost feel like they need to solidify something along that front line. The fact that it's going to be a solo Muradin up there, I feel he'll get picked on, especially with the blow-up. Think about it, ETC, Kael'thas all up in that front. That's a huge blow-up, and then Zul for the Bone Prison. There's a lot of follow-up potential there. Sonya being, I think, the only choice. But the thing is, Sonya might actually suffer against this composition.
Maybe.
I think might is an understatement. I feel like there's the ability to be able to keep her alive. Like, they want to be getting the picks in every way, shape, and form when you are looking at Naventic for the time being. And I don't feel like Sonya complements. Her positioning has to be flawless.
Correct. correct me if I'm
Absolutely
wrong.
flawless.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, but mostly when I watch Naventic, Burbank, previous tournament over in Austin as well, I was like, yeah, they're kind of just replicating other people and just playing it really solid. This doesn't really look like replication.
No, it doesn't.
Looks like improvisation. I don't know.
Maybe.
The fact that Uther got banned out, do you think that kind of threw a loop for what they might have had planned? Because they banned out Rhaegar, maybe assuming they would get Uther. Going into a Toronto Malfurion is something I don't think we've really seen before.
We haven't seen it in a very long time. It was only common like season 1, and it was usually paired with like a Jaina as well to ensure the roots. So it is very unique approach to the draft.
Could you
here.
elaborate, guys, why we didn't see it exactly? What are the weaknesses on paper of this comp or this duo?
Malfurion specifically is just that he lacks the burst healing to be able to keep targets alive. Tranquility, even if it's popped very early in a fight, usually isn't going to be enough. Also, he's vulnerable in positioning and is susceptible to dying.
Right?
I have to echo that. There's nothing more to say. That's Malf.
I mean, it can heal up Zul if he goes Poison Nova, but you look at the blow. We saw this just a couple days ago. The blow-up potential between ETC, Kael'thas, the power slide into the Gravity Lapse, Flame Strike. I mean, that's a lot of damage very quickly, and I'm not sure if even Tyrande can help keep up with that single heal.
I'm not sure if we touched on this already, but guys, think of the late game. Zul's mortal wounds against that massive AoE healing coming out from Malfurion and Tyrande. Do you think that's going to be a weapon of choice here for MVP Black?
It could be. I don't know if I would say that I think it has to be, especially since without the Ancestral, for instance, it doesn't gain as much value. Tranquility will be like lightly negated. But realistically, I don't feel like I don't look at the double healer that Naventic has and go, I can't out damage this.
Yeah.
I still feel like it's very susceptible to being just killed.
So, James, now the moment has come for you to unleash your first prediction for this very first series of the day.
All right, I prepared something. I thought it would be like we have these lovely cards that were cheerful. So I'm gonna go with MVP.
Wow, there we go. 1-0 in favor of MVP Black. Dread, as an American citizen, what do you hold against this?
NA Dreams.
Oh, apparently nothing.
I'm going with MVP.
It looks like, Jayhao, you are the last bastion here to sort of save the honor of NA. Do you think that Naventic has what it takes to pull it off?
It's not about honor. It's not about signs. It's about, I feel that Naventic is ready to take the next step. I'm going Naventic on this one.
There we go. I'm loving the loyalty here. However, I have to say that I'm favoring MVP Black as well, because on paper, this lineup is just too stacked to be not winning. However, I now summon one of the rarest creatures, one of the most enchanting casting duos that we've got, the Gilly Wolf. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Kendrick. Might not be as rare as North America taking out a Korean team.
Oh,
in the
come
group
on.
stage.
We're starting this now?
I mean, I'm just saying, last time they met each other in the group stage, it was Group B of the Spring Championship. They did get 2-0'd by MVP Black. We're going to go ahead and jump into this game right away, Gilly. Let's announce these players. For MVP Black in blue, Sign is on ETC, Mary Day is on Morales, Zul is being played by Kyocha, Sake is on Kael'thas, and of course, Rich is playing Thrall.
And in the red, it's Team Naventic with McIntyre playing Malfurion, Zuna on Muradin, Fan playing Sonya, Greymane played by Big Impact, and Tyrande played by Kenma. That's a bit of a role swap.
Yeah, definitely so. This is going to be really interesting to see how well MVP Black uses their composition, because they do have ETC in the early game. As the analyst said earlier, they do prioritize them on this map because the lanes are so close together and you can rotate between the map and get early pressure. As you can see, Naventic knows this, and they're going to even body block the minions here to slow them down so they can soak a little bit safer here in this mid lane. And it's working out very effectively for them so far. It's going to be harder for Black to push in here and get a power slide.
We've been seeing so much of the ETC Kael'thas pairing, being able to follow up any power slides with a Gravity Blast to just eliminate somebody from the battle really quickly. And because of that, because there are a lot of squishy heroes who can be caught like that, like Tyrande, Malfurion, who don't have escapes, they just have to be so careful with their positioning, Wolf.
Absolutely, Gilly. And one thing I do want to point out is one of the weaknesses of the composition for Naventic to start things off is they didn't have much wave clear. Now they have Sonya, which is decent. They also got Moonburn, a level 1 for Malfurion, so they will be able to deal with these lanes. The real issue is that they can't really leave. They can't really cross the halfway point on any of these lanes when they don't have vision of Sign, because he's looking for those power slides, and they have to be careful. And already we're going to have some action here. Rich overextends and will be taken out. Here's a power slide, though.
Oh, no, and Tyrande is in a tough spot to try to get away so quickly. MVP Black turn the tides.
Yeah, looks like Zuna and Fan are going to continue to push forward here. Sign is in position for another power slide. Big Impact coming in. There's the power slide I'm talking about. A double lockdown. There's the gravity lapse.
Big Impact still trying to get away, uses the disengage. Signs chasing after him. Zuna throws a Storm Bolt over the wall just to try to make sure that Biggie gets away, and he will escape.
Very significantly a better trade for MVP Black, and with that sign mount and the dodge on the Storm Bolt, he almost was able to get Big E there. Not going to happen, though. They're going to take a slight EXP lead. Obviously, deaths start to matter once you get to the point where you're ready to turn in your gems, because if you can get 2 gem turn-ins back-to-back, that's usually going to secure you 10.
Now, actually, Naventic last night was telling me about this combination of Tyrande and Malfurion. It's something that they have been looking into quite a lot. And while it's scary, they do have, Tyrande will help out with the shortcomings of McIntyre. And as you can see, there's a lot of combination there. They have their entangling roots to go in after a Lunar Flare. But here comes Sign with the power slide.
Yeah, and with this shield from Kyocha, he does stay alive. A little bit of a bait attempt, I'd say, from him here. But the disengage is solid. NV Black not able to pick up a kill maybe they were looking for there. The solo lane of the bot still going pretty strong in favor of Rich, just simply because the matchup is so difficult for Estonia with those chain lightnings being tossed out. Looks like we're gonna have some more action up here, though.
Zuna Dwarf tosses away and is safe, and yeah, you saw that Thrall was able to stop Sonya from backing, and we can see some of the talent starting to be picked up. And it's not the typical Tyrande build that we've been seeing a lot, because she is with Malfurion, who's gonna be doing a lot of the supporting. She's going for more of a damage talents with Seasoned Marksman, building up those stacks, and then Searing Arrows.
Yeah, just giving her a little bit more range potential, because she is basically, in a sense, their range damage next to Greymane when he's up in the front lines doing melee things. They don't have Divine Shield, they don't have Sank, so it's going to be harder to keep him alive. Rich taking a ton of damage here. He will get ganked, and it loses several gems there, so a big loss here for MVP Black.
Yep, nobody can rotate down in time to pick those up, so they're just going to have to stack those gems. But both teams are still trying to get as many as they can for the next turn-in phase. And in that regard, MVP Black is doing really well. They've already turned 31, so they're well on their way to getting the first Web Weavers.
Yeah, but keep in mind, Naventic, they haven't turned in any yet, but they are almost there at 47 of 50. And so MVP Black does need to be wary of this, and they will have to deny some turn-ins to prevent that first web. You're a nice Storm Bolt here on the Sake, but they're too close to towers. Nothing gets done here.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of miscommunication on who they were going after, because the Storm Bolt hit one person, but the Lunar Flare was going after another one. So still just constantly trying to get picks on both sides. You've got the ETC with the Kael'thas follow-up on one side, and then the Miranda with Entangling Roots as a possibility as a follow-up too, and that's going to happen again.
All right, here we go. Signs in position actually to power slide in here. Looks like he's going to power slide away. Instead, they do deny the full turn-in, but 34 go in here. And again, MVP Black does not have enough for a turn-in, so they're going to have to be more aggressively positioned to deny these turn-ins until they have enough. It looks like they just do now at 21 in the bag, and they do control this turn-in point right now. It makes it so difficult for Naventic because they have ETC on their side to get turn-ins. Obviously, in the early game before level 10, ETC is just going to bully and dominate because he can slide through people.
Right, MVP Black totally has that on lockdown, but they have been losing people. Unfortunately, Big Impact is also going to go down for Naventic, and yeah, with the way MVP has been so aggressive, controlling the rotations between all of the lanes and through the turn-ins, they have complete control of those, and they've been able to burn down the ammo in a lot of the lanes for Naventic.
They have level 7 reached for both teams here now. No talent advantage, but the first Web Weavers will go to MVP Black. They were able to get that turn in there with just a little bit of extra pressure. And this is going to push them closer to 10. Another power slide coming in here. There's the gravity lapse. Zuna in some serious trouble.
He is Muradin, so he can start to move away. Kima with a zoning Lunar Flare to allow him to get back to the team. And let's see how fast they can clear these up. They do have Tyrande to be able to help out with the Hunter's Mark, and you do see that going down, although with nobody else here, she's going to be in trouble.
Sticking around just too long. Kemba will get blown up here, and this is going to allow this Web Weaver push to be even more powerful with one down. And they're going to go ahead and split off. Notice that they actually have 3 in the bot lane, and the top and mid lanes both have one member soaking, so they're going to get soak on all 3 lanes. And after this tower goes down, they're just going to rotate into the mid to go for this fort, and then they can start moving up to the top. So big rotations here by Black, and a huge win, more than they would have gotten if they hadn't picked off Kenma there.
Right, the amazing wave clear that MVP Black has, plus getting that pick off on Tyrande, and having Zul be able to burn down the ammo means that all the towers fell very quickly. So whereas normally with your first Web Weaver turn-in, you aren't usually going to be able to pick up a fort, they've gotten a fort, they've gotten towers, and they have nearly picked up heroic abilities.
And this is all just based on the Web Weaver turn-ins alone that Naventic could not deny. And without going for an owl build, it's a little bit tougher to go for poke there with Tyrande. So that's something that's a little bit concerning. They do have Moonfire for poke. They can try to deny in that way. But already, level 10 is reached because of that EXP lead here for Black, and they are going to go Poison Nova on Zul.
Toronto was holding off on her level 7 talent for quite some time, but did end up going into Lunar Momentum. Of course, not going to be able to reduce the cooldown for probably Starfall, what we'll see, but still going to be able to reduce those basic abilities. So she'll have more Sentinels up, potentially for denying later on.
Black looking for another pick off here. They're just going to try to force a fight while they do have their heroics online. Zuna does get caught here. He still has his Dwarf Toss available. He will get away, but this is going to cost them a fort. Just the fact that they have to sit back and turtle here and they can't contest any of these pushes, they lose yet another fort, which puts us at 6-4 in fort count in this game as Naventic tries to soak for 10. They will get this second turn-in, which is important. They do punish the fact that Black rotated so heavily there.
Yeah, that's a nice win. They just need to get their heroic abilities down, then they can maybe get something done with it, just depending what they're going to get. By the way, we do have medevac dropship for Lieutenant Morales. So again, even though this isn't a giant map, you can use it to try to get away if you get caught in an unfavorable position, or just to try to get, you win a team fight, you instantly can get up to boss, not waste any time.
Very true here. Phoenix going down to help deny this push. Level 10s, of course, being up here now for Naventic means that Black will have to respect that. And Sign getting rooted here is also the Hunter's Mark goes on to him. He's taking a lot of damage, but nice gravity lapse to deny that push forward there.
They had used Lunar Flare, so it was on cooldown. They didn't have that. You see medevac coming in. They have already cleared out a Web Weaver, and they're going to the top to just try to rotate as fast as they can, start taking those out too. But Kyocha could be in trouble. Lunar Flare does not connect, and he gets away.
Yep, he is kind of caught outside now, though, a little bit stuck, but there's no way they can really punish him or get there. And that will be the end of the Web Weaver push of Naventic. And as you guys could see, the push, because of the composition of Black, just did so much more for them, killing 2 forts, and Naventic wasn't able to get any.
Naventic is really focused on picks, but their coordination seems off. There have been several missed crowd control abilities, like some Lunar Flares, where maybe, I don't know if it comes down to the role swap. It's a very interesting role swap. We see McIntyre, who's usually the warrior player now, playing Malfurion. Kenma's been put onto Tronda, and then Zuna is back to playing warrior. And that's not something we've seen pretty much since the big role swaps that happened at Austin. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's nerves, but I want to see their coordination get on more and be able to secure those picks that they're looking for.
Absolutely, especially when you're going for that type of play style. It's really, really important. Fan does get hit here and is actually just going to turn around, try to avoid this fight. The root goes down to him as well. Nice to stop it there. That cleanse goes down, but he still is killed. And it might not be the only hero that goes down for Naventic here. McIntyre taking a ton of damage. Don't forget, any kills that Black gets right now are so important because they get their second turn in. And I start to question the build that we're seeing here for Toronto. Yes, she wants to go damage here, but without the denies from the Owl build, they just can't stop turn-ins from happening over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's damage, but it's not, they still have Shadow Stock, so they're trying to get this double support heroic, but still they can't sustain through this. Greymane's gonna drop too.
Greymane dead here. Sake does have to retreat, but he is protected here by Merida, who's also doing some nice body blocking. Kenma goes down as well. Looks like Kyocha gonna back off for the time being, but this is starting to snowball out of control very, very quickly here for Black. And it's not about the picks, it's about the structural damage here. Yeah, the picks make it easier, but when you're losing 2 members versus Azul, you might lose a keep even at just 10 minutes into the game.
Right, or you lose so far back on experience, which is where we see now a big level lead, is including 13 talents for MVP Black, that it just lets MVP run rampant on the battleground. They can finish these Web Weavers and clear out the lanes, get another turn in a row, or just go up to the boss knowing that if they pull Naventic up to a fight, they're going to lose because they're so far behind.
Yeah, this is something that MVP Black does on this map a lot when they are ahead like this. Instead of really trying to push down a keep despite having those advantages, they just want to keep the EXP lead and they soak lanes. Oh, Sundering comboing here, going down, and that is going to be a dead Muradin. And it's just picks into picks into picks, and this looks like a keep here for MVP Black after that grab there.
Yeah, you popped Avatar too, so that won't, it'll still be on cooldown by the time he comes out of being dead, and that is going to be a keep being brought down, the first keep of the game for MVP Black, and they've opened up a potential win condition if they can get some more picks, but not really finding it. Naventic doing a good job of at least staying alive, not losing any more.
Gilly, we're about to see a really rare circumstance in Here's the Storm, especially at such a high level of play. We're about to see the double talent lead as Black hits 16. If they get it right now, they're going to have 16 and 13 over Naventic. It's not like they're going to have like a timing with this specifically or anything like that, but it just goes to show how ahead they are because it's such a rare circumstance. It looks like they're just going to medevac up to the top and might even poise around boss with that double talent advantage they're about to have.
Zul has gone into Corpse Explosion. We see different things. Even if you generally see raised skeletons at 7 and 4, you will sometimes see other things, but wanting to just have as much push as possible. And they are forcing Naventic into the fight. Sign with a massive mosh pit, Wolf.
4-man mosh pit here, and this could be a wipe, but Naventic doesn't disengage perfectly. Fan is so low here, and he looks like he will go down. It's Tyrande who dies first. And it's just 3 dead here. MVP Black going to be able to do so much with this. They may even try to push to get another keep. They could boss. That would be the safer choice. Looks like Rich is trying to bait and engage here so that they can get that top keep, and that will unlock the boss push towards the core. So again, Black not playing too risky here. They're just taking small advantages one at a time.
But importantly, they have taken out 2 keeps. They have the medevac, so they can hop right in and take a ride back to their base. Maybe again, look at the boss. They also nearly have enough for just another Web Weaver phase, and this is looking impossible for Naventic.
I think what they may try to do here is distract using Rich once more and Merryday and try to sync up the boss with the turn-in. Okay, it looks like Kyocha is rotating down, though. It looks like they want to fight. Big E is so low right now. And look at this, Gravity Lapse goes down. Tyrande is dead. Merryday may pay for it, though.
Yeah, they do use Shadow Stalk, so they've got some healing going on for Team Naventic, but they have lost Tyrande. There goes Tranquility, too, just trying to stay alive through another pick. Yes, they took down Merryday. That is the sole support, but there are lots of people able to keep themselves healthy.
All right, here we go. Roots going down. Sign in perfect position to push them into the towers here. Zuna taking so much damage. There's another power slide. Zuna escapes for the time being, but one more whack will take him out there. Ice Block going down for McIntyre, but he's going to be the next to fall. And it's just a slaughter at this point. 13 kills to 4.
2 members of Team Naventic dead. Tyrande just now respawning, and there is enough gems for a turn-in. Looks like that's what they're starting to do. They do have the potential to try to time it with the boss, as you said, but with how the lanes are pushed, with the massive lead that they already have, I don't know if MVP Black just wants to try to win off of that.
Yeah, they may very well. Let's see what they do here. They do have vision of Fan in the bot lane. They have vision of Greymane in the mid lane. And, I mean, they're just going to go for the web repush. They're not going to try to get greedy and do the boss with it as well. But with 17 to 14 and level 16s online here for MVP Black, I really do feel they can end the game with this push, barring a huge mistake. It's just such a lead, an insurmountable lead. And Naventic is going to have to win like 3 team fights in a row to come back at this point.
Even though Zul still went for Corpse Explosion, he did get amplified damage at 16. So whoever gets caught in that bone prison is just going to get wrecked. I'm a little bit scared. I think this might be it.
This could be it. Let's see if Naventic can hold on here. Big E coming up to the front. There's the Sundering, though. Perfect isolation on Muradin, and he is the first to go down. Kenma is in the back doing damage, but already Sonya is dead, and now they're just going to turn around and kill him as well. And that should be game here, unless MVP Black wants to make this a little bit more exciting. I mean, there's no way for them to survive.
With a medevac, at least.
Yeah, sure. There's the fly-in. Just going to ignore this keep. Web Weaver's on the core as well. Down goes Greymane, and that is going to be it here in game number 1. MVP Black taking it at 14 minutes and 45 seconds, 17 kills to 4. GG. Well, MVP Black, the defending champions. Yes, they lost to Tempest. A lot of people were saying, okay, Black's not as strong as they were before. They lost to a new team in Super League. They lost 0-4, but that was in Korea, and that was in the grand finals. But when you compare this team to North America, you looked scared. They've said, publicly, this is going to be a really hard match for us. And so far, it's been incredibly difficult. That was very one-sided.
Right. We're looking at basically the clash of the fallen heroes, right? Both of these teams lost their regionals, and it's just who can maybe get it back faster. And obviously, that looks to be MVP Black, because that was just insanely one-sided. So one-sided.
We saw some experimentation there with the, Tyrande, Malfurion on this map. We saw some roll swaps there as well. Some of the Stormbolt's not really on point. And I do feel like if they want to bring it back in this series, they're going to have to tighten up their play and also their drafting. But before we talk about this any further, let's go ahead and jump over to the panelists to see what they have to say.